For 6 months, they said he held the ball too long. They said he was just Dion's son. But today, the film told a different story. And the NFL owners are absolutely terrified. Dan Orlovsky just broke down the leak tape of Shedeur Sanders. And he identified the 5 traits that you cannot teach. Orlovsky went on to compare Shedeur's pocket manipulation, trait number 2, to a Hall of Famer that I guarantee you weren't expecting. I'm going to show you the side-by-side clip of Shedeur and this legend making the exact same move to avoid a sack. Subscribe and hit the bell right now. If you want to see who Shedeur is turning into, click that button. Let's run the tape. Here are the 5 reasons the rest of the NFL is losing sleep tonight. NFL owners are in absolute panic mode right now. Why? Because the narrative they have been feeding you for months, the narrative that Shedeur Sanders is a bust, that he is turnover prone, that he is all hype, just got dismantled by the one thing they cannot spin: the film. A legendary Cleveland high school coach just sat down, turned on the tape, and evaluated Shedeur Sanders on the 5 core traits that actually guarantee NFL success. The results? They are forcing the entire league to confront an uncomfortable truth they've been trying to hide. Coach Lance Riesland, known locally and respectfully as Coach Riz, dropped a comprehensive film breakdown that destroys the national media narrative. While the talking heads obsess over 10 interceptions, Coach Riz went to the tape and graded Shedeur on the intangibles. The final score was 35 out of 50. That number sounds average on the surface, but when you peel back the layers, you find the smoking gun. Shedeur scored an 8 out of 10 on leadership and impact, the exact traits that separate franchise quarterbacks from career backups. Coach Riz proved that Shedeur's mistakes were mechanical issues that he systematically fixed week by week. This isn't an opinion. This isn't a hot take. This is film study. And it proves that the Cleveland Browns might be sitting on the next great NFL quarterback, even if they are too scared to admit it. Before we dive into the grades, you need to understand who is doing the grading. In the world of football analysis, credibility is currency. If a random Twitter user says Shedeur is good, it means nothing. If Stip Bayless says it, it's for engagement. But Coach Lance Riesland is different. This man is a Cleveland football institution. He spent 18 years as an assistant coach and 4 years as a head coach at Garfield Heights High School. In 2018, he led that program to an 11-1 record, breaking a 41-year undefeated drought. He has spent over 2 decades molding quarterbacks, watching raw talent, and identifying what translates to the next level. He doesn't care about the last name Sanders. He doesn't care about the luxury watches or the rap songs. He cares about feet, eyes, and release times. When a guy with 22 years of trench experience says, "I watched the film and you are wrong," you listen. He ignored the box scores and watched the behavior of the player. And what he found on Shedeur's tape is terrifying for every general manager who passed on him. Let's start with the physicals, because this is where the lazy analysis usually starts. People look at Shedeur and say, he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He doesn't run a 4.4. Coach Riz looked at the tape and gave Shedeur a 7 out of 10 for measurables. Why? It's a pocket passing league that requires escapability. At 6'2", 215 pounds, Shedeur has a sturdy frame. He can take a hit in the AFC North, which is critical. But Coach Riz identified something more important: functional mobility. This is the ability to slide, climb, and reset. It's not about outrunning a cornerback. It's about making the first defensive end miss so you can buy 2.5 extra seconds. The film shows Shedeur driving the football outside the numbers. It shows him layering throws over linebackers with touch. He isn't a runner, but he is a mobile platform. Coach Riz noted his willingness to push the ball vertically. He isn't checking it down to protect his completion percentage. He is attacking the deep third of the field. That aggression, combined with NFL-level durability, is why he scored a 7. He checks the box. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, the 10 interceptions. The critics point to this number and say, he can't read defenses. Coach Riz went deeper. He identified the mechanical cause of those interceptions. It wasn't blindness, it was drifting. Early in the season, the film shows Shedeur had a bad habit. When he hit the top of his drop, instead of climbing up into the pocket, he would drift backward. He would float away from the line of scrimmage. Why is this a death sentence? 2 reasons. First, it ruins the angles for your offensive tackles. They are trying to push defenders around the pocket. If the quarterback drifts back, he steps right into the defensive end's path. Second, it lengthens the throw. A 10-yard out route becomes a 15-yard throw if you drift back 5 yards. That extra distance gives the cornerback time to jump the route. Coach Riz proved that the interceptions were a result of bad feet, not bad eyes. And here is the good news. You can fix feet. You can drill climbing the pocket until it becomes muscle memory. You cannot teach a quarterback to see the field, but you can teach him where to stand. The fact that the floor is mechanical means the ceiling is still intact. This is the nuclear bomb of the evaluation. This is the section that should make the Browns front office wake up in a cold sweat. Coach Riz gave Shedeur an 8 out of 10 on leadership and impact. Let me repeat that. 8 out of 10. Why does this matter more than arm strength? Because you cannot teach it. Coach Riz noted a specific phenomenon on the tape. The offense played with noticeable passion when he was on the field. You can see it. When Shedeur enters the huddle, the posture of the other 10 guys changes. They block a little longer. They run their routes a little sharper. There is a belief factor that he brings. Coach Riz pointed out that Shedeur stabilized a chaotic unit. He communicated with confidence. He never looked rattled, even when he was getting hit. This is the Patrick Mahomes factor. This is the Joe Burrow factor. Before the stats come, the belief must be there. Shedeur instilled belief in a broken 5-12 team. If he scores an 8 on 10 on leadership, while being sabotaged by a bad offensive line and a coaching staff that didn't even want him to play, imagine what he does when he actually has support. Let's go deeper into this impact score. How do you grade passion on film? Coach Riz did it by watching the teammates, not the quarterback. In the clip where Shedeur talks about the culture change, saying, if we want to change the narrative, change the franchise, we got to speak life. You see the mindset. But on the field, you see the result. Coach Riz highlighted moments where a play broke down. In the first half of the season, with other quarterbacks, the receivers would give up. They would jog. With Shedeur, they scrambled. They came back to the ball. They fought for extra yards. That is the passion metric. It means the locker room respects the guy under center. They don't want to let him down. When you have a quarterback who fights for every yard, the team fights with him. The fact that a rookie, a fourth-string rookie, commanded that level of respect in a veteran locker room is the single most impressive takeaway from this entire film study. It proves he isn't just a player. He is a leader of men. The biggest knock on rookies is that the NFL game is too fast. The windows are smaller, the linebackers are faster, and the disguises are complex. Coach Riz disagrees with the idea that Shedeur was lost. He gave him a 7 out of 10 for processing. But the grade isn't as important as the trajectory. Coach Riz's evaluation tracked growth. He noted that in Shedeur's early starts, the game did look fast. His footwork was frantic. But watch the tape from week 17 and week 18. Drastically improved. The frantic feet were gone. The panic was gone. He was settling into his drops. He was reading the safety rotation. He was checking down when the deep shot wasn't there. Coach Riz emphasized that when Shedeur's feet were calm, his eyes were elite. The processing issue wasn't mental. It was physical. When he calmed his body down, his brain could work. That rapid improvement, from frantic to calm in just 8 weeks, suggests that his processing grade will be a 9 to 10 within 2 years. Let's look at a specific receipt. Coach Riz broke down a play involving Jerry Jeudy that proves Shedeur is playing chess, not checkers. On this play, Shedeur sends Jerry Jeudy in motion across the formation. This isn't just to look cool. He is watching the cornerback. Does the corner follow Jeudy? Yes. Boom. Shedeur now knows it is man coverage. He doesn't need to guess anymore. He knows the coverage rules. He snaps the ball, looks off the safety, and immediately hits Malachi Corley on a crossing route. He knew Corley would be open before the ball was even snapped, because the motion revealed the defense. That is NFL-level processing. That is Tom Brady stuff. Use the motion to undress the defense, identify the coverage, and exploit the matchup. The fact that a rookie is doing this in the heat of battle, while his offensive line is crumbling, proves that he isn't just an athlete. He is a student of the game. Now, we have to be fair. Coach Riz gave Shedeur his lowest grade in this category, 6 out of 10. This is where the critics will say, "Aha, I told you." But you have to listen to the context. Coach Riz called Shedeur's college ball placement elite. He said in college he threw guys open constantly. So why the drop in the NFL? Why the 6 on 10? Unsettled footwork. Once again, it comes back to the feet. The speed of the NFL pass rush forced Shedeur to speed up his mechanics, which threw off his timing. He was throwing off his back foot. He was throwing before he was set. But again, the film showed the fix. As the weeks went on, the footwork calmed down, and the elite placement returned. Coach Riz highlighted a touchdown pass to Harold Fanning Jr. that was placed on the back shoulder, where only the receiver could get it. The talent is there. The elite accuracy is dormant, waiting for the mechanics to stabilize. A 6 out of 10 today becomes an 8 out of 10 tomorrow, once he trusts his protection. There is a fascinating clip where Shedeur says, "I know we're going to put up a lot of wins. That's the biggest thing. Not the stats, not anything else. It's the wins that matter." Coach Riz's evaluation supports this mindset. In the modern NFL, we have become obsessed with efficiency stats. QBR, completion percentage, EPA per play. He looks at winning football. Sometimes winning football means throwing the ball away. Sometimes it means taking a sack to keep the clock running. Sometimes it means throwing a 50-50 ball to your best receiver and trusting him to make a play, even if the analytics say it's risky. Shedeur's willingness to ignore his own stat line to chase a win is a trait, not a flaw. He isn't protecting his passer rating. He is trying to move the chains. The 6 of 10 accuracy grade reflects the risk-taking, but the 8 of 10 leadership grade reflects the result, winning. Finally, we have pocket management. Shedeur got a 7 out of 10. This is the most critical trait for survival. If you can't manage the pocket, you get hurt. We already talked about the drifting issue early in the season, but Coach Riz showed the evolution. By week 18, Shedeur was doing something veterans do, climbing the pocket. When the defensive ends rushed upfield, instead of backing up, Shedeur stepped up into the chaos. This is terrifying for a quarterback. You are stepping closer to the big bodies, but it is the only way to create a throwing lane. Coach Riz showed clips of Shedeur stepping up, sliding left to avoid a hand, and resetting his feet to throw. This is called navigating the noise. The fact that he learned to do this in 8 games, when most rookies panic and run, is a massive indicator of his potential. We cannot grade pocket management without talking about the pocket itself, or the lack of one. The Cleveland Browns' offensive line was a disaster. They used 25 different starting combinations due to injuries. 25. Shedeur Sanders never had the same 5 guys in front of him 2 weeks in a row. He had practice squad guys playing center. To score a 7 out of 10 in pocket management behind that line is a miracle. He wasn't managing a pocket. He was managing a crime scene. Every snap was a jailbreak. The fact that he could function at all, let alone climb and slide, proves that his instincts are elite. If you put him behind the Detroit Lions offensive line, that 7 out of 10 becomes a 10 out of 10 instantly. So, what is the final verdict? Coach Riz chose his words carefully. He concluded that Shedeur Sanders has earned the right to compete for the starting job. He didn't say, give him the keys. He didn't say, he is the savior. He said he earned the right to compete. This is fair. It acknowledges the flaws, the 10 INTs, the footwork, but respects the talent, the leadership, the growth. It frames Shedeur not as a bust, and not as a Hall of Famer, but as a legitimate NFL starter who needs to win the job in camp. But in the NFL, earning the right to compete is a massive win for a 5th-round pick. It means the door is open. It means the film validates his presence. It means the Browns would be foolish to hand the job to anyone else without seeing what Shedeur can do in year 2. Why did the national media miss this? Why are they still screaming about interceptions? Because watching film is hard. It takes time. It's boring. It's much easier to look at a box score, see 2 interceptions, and scream bust on live TV. Coach Riz did the work. He ignored the lazy narratives. He ignored the Deion Sanders circus. He just watched the football player. And what he found exposed the media's blind spot. They are judging Shedeur based on expectations and bias, not on biomechanics and behavior. They want him to fail because it's a good story. But the film tells a different story. The film tells the story of a kid who is getting better, who is leading men, and who is fixing his mistakes in real time.